3 of the Buzz Bubble interview with Alex Bogusky.
CP+B Culture. You've got, how do you keep it fresh? You've got the 2 locations. You've been here for 3 years? 3 years. 3 years. Love the unfinished look. I kind of got a little insight from
Unfinished, huh?
Always changing. No,
I'm kidding.
I saw the Huffington thing last week, and I said to Aaron, I said, is there construction going on? Because there was a shot of you, looking up and the particle board, but now I get it. I got the whole little something about the CP+B culture and the people. I mean, you've definitely got something here that's special.
I really think that the culture is all you've got, right? I mean, if there's anything that an agency is, it's the culture. I can't really identify what else it is. We do have the walls, but the walls don't matter, The closest thing to mattering is the trays that hold the wires, because, it's all about getting everyone with the information and getting everyone networked. I think people identify with certain aspects of our culture at different times. To me, and it's strange, because it seems like it would mean there is no culture, but the most important part of the culture is that we want to change, right? So whatever we did last year, we hope not to repeat this year. And I guess that keeps it fresh, but it also allows people to come in and make their mark, Like, I want, if you work here, there's some stuff I know and some stuff I believe, but mostly it's about like being honest with each other and helping each other out if there's problems. The rest of it can all go. So we don't have. Sometimes you'll hear people say, "Well, the Crispin way." You definitely don't get it if you say that, because there shouldn't be a Crispin way, right? There should just be what's appropriate right now and what do we want to do, next year that we didn't do last year.
But you do facilitate. It seems like there's a lot of great things for everyone to be comfortable here, be creative. You got the buses and the bikes and all.
And we've got the concierge that takes care of like your toys, your bikes, and your skis and your motorcycles, and then we've got the other kind of concierge that takes care of your dry cleaning and things like that. And we've got the fire pole, and we've got a stuffed elephant. But what we don't have is we don't have the basketball court, right? We don't have. Because our hope is that work is supposed to be fun. Like, you shouldn't have to take time off from work to have fun. If work's not fun, then you've got to adjust how you're doing work. So we don't have the foosball table and and some of the other accoutrements that you see sometimes. And I don't think that that's bad. It's just not for us.
You have the big mountains out the back door that they can go if anybody needs to go and decompress. Get a bike and.
I always think that 12-year-olds, right? My son is 12, and I see it in him. But when I was 12, I was fully developed. My head it's what you see now, right? I didn't get any smarter from the time I was 12, and it used to bug me because I'd be in a meeting, and you maybe remember this, or maybe you don't. Early in your career, you're sitting around a table, and everyone's having a conversation. And you're thinking, man, I hope no one knows that I'm 12 inside, right? and you don't want the secret out. But now I'm 45, and I look at it from completely the opposite direction. And I'm like, 12-year-olds get it. And if you could act on the things that you knew when you were 12, you would have a great business, and you would do the right things by people and for yourself and everything else. So I think part of the culture is remembering what were those things that you thought were smart when you were 12 and you promised yourself you would do, right? Like, I'm going to have a fire pole. If I ever have an office, I'm going to have a fire pole. Like, I'm pretty sure I promised myself that. Go through with it,
That explains the conference room full of 12-year-olds with the pads and pens. I saw that was kind of odd. A little about CP+B growing up, if you don't mind. I love hearing the stories about you growing up. And you were in it from your parents were in it, and I heard how you and Chuck had gotten together. It was 20, and then there's an account. You also went down to 16, but I don't have the fill in the gap
between 16 and 980.
I don't know how that went.
I don't know how it went either. I think everything builds very slowly on what happened before, and I can't really necessarily identify something that was so important that I don't think something else could have taken its place, right? And I also don't feel like it was, to people outside, like your experience with us is I saw the Mini and then I saw the Burger King, right? We were having a really good time before that. You know, we were doing Truth before we did Mini, and we started it in Florida. And before that, we were doing a bunch of bike company stuff for, you know, for
how important was Shimano
companies.
and all that?
Really
it was like
important.
a big.
Yeah, really important. So, probably the only thing where I remember, okay, we've hit a barrier, and probably it was around 40 people. We probably had 40 people, and we wanted to model ourselves after. Everyone's looking for a model all the time, right? And sometimes people, I think, try to model themselves after Crispin now, and the only thing you should model after Crispin is do it however you want to do it. I think that should be the only lesson. But so we looked at Found and we said, okay, Found was local, then they became regional, and then they became national, and, you know, and they did good work at each stage, and that was their progress and their path. And we kept running up against this regional thing that we couldn't get through. We couldn't get to national, because when we talked to national accounts, they couldn't see how the solutions we had done locally and regionally have any application for what their problems were. At least in our analysis, we said, okay, this is potentially what we're running into. So we decided we would take small national accounts over large local or regional accounts. And that's, you know, a very counterintuitive thing to do. So Shimano was $1 million, and we went as hard as we could after that. It was all the way across the country in California. We didn't necessarily have a lot of experience there. But we went really hard after that and didn't do, I forget what it was, but some $5 million local pitch at the time. And we did that consistently over the next few years. But what we felt was they're going to have similar issues. A national account of $1 million can relate to a $10 million account. You know, they have the same issues. And that really worked for us. Suddenly we had case studies that we were able to build out. And there was a nice progression there. And then we were lucky enough to kind of get involved with the anti-tobacco thing in Florida, which was a real riff in the agency at the time. Yeah.
Where were you at that time, size-wise?
We were probably 60 or between 60 and 80 folks, but it tore the agency in half, honestly, because there were a lot of people that didn't want to work on anything government, and you know,
sure,
makes sense. Yeah, and we really went into it saying, hey, what the CDC says you should do, it's not going to work. And we kept saying these things to them that we thought were going to get us eliminated, but we kept staying in it. And then ultimately what we created was very different than what had been done before. And it wouldn't have happened if not for, you know, the governor's office, Lawton Childs and his wife. They were super passionate about the issue. They and some of the people around them, Chuck Wolf, had the same instinct that, well, it wasn't even an instinct. What the CDC was saying you should say was not working, you know, like incidence was spiking. And then what was really interesting about that time was the tobacco companies had specifically said that this money from the settlement had to be spent on youth prevention marketing. But they're looking at the same data, which I think was every dollar you put against this is actually a dollar that ups youth uptake of tobacco, because it's, you know, it is a rebellious product. So if you make it more rebellious through this advertising effort, you're going to see it. And so that was really scary as we did our planning on it and did our research on it. We thought, man, we're going to wind up with blood on our hands if we're involved in this and it doesn't go the right way and we aren't able to do the things that we think are right.
Once it was in-house, did the agency reunite about it? I mean,
it took a little bit of time, but yeah, then the agency was definitely.
That's it for part 3 of The Buzz Bubble with Alex Bogusky. Tune in next week for the final part of our interview.